Alright, hello everyone, this is Crota giving you now game number 3 in this series between Hawk and Infi. Now, unfortunately, I am casting this in the middle of the night, so I won't be able to, well, I guess shout and scream my way across to, tell you how exciting this game and series has been. So far, both of these players have shown unbelievable skill in this human versus human mirror match, and I can't wait to see what happens here, as this game is the final rubber match between these two players in this best of 3. It looks like both players are opening up with an Archmage once more, and at the 1 minute 40-second mark, we are already looking at the Archmages making their way out to clear out the Goblin Laboratory creep camps. Both sides pretty much running in with, I believe, 7 militia each. No, the 6 militia down over here by Infi. Meanwhile, we are looking at 6 militia by Hawk. So both sides running in with those militia, attempting to take down the rock golems. Nicely done by Hawk to make sure that the water elemental is the one that did not get ensnared, as we see Scourge Bone Chimes and a Tome of Knowledge being left behind for Infi. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what's going down for Hawk. Hawk opened up with a Devotion Aura and is now sitting at level 2. Stats are 16, 19, 23 compared to 16, 19, 23. Both of them getting Tomes of Knowledge. Now, is Scourge Bone Chimes better than Devotion Aura? Only time can tell here. Devotion Aura gives you a 6% more, 6% effective more hit points. Meanwhile, Vampiric Aura gives you 10% return on damage for all melee units. The problem will be that Infi is not going to have that many melee units, so short of the early militia and footmen that we're looking at right here, right now, as Infi makes a critical mistake, allowing his water elemental to get purged. That was a big mistake there, as you're looking at the footmen now going after these Null Wardens. There's the water elemental of Hawk, and as long as the water elemental is the one taking the majority of the damage, it should be fine. The militia now looking to back off, as the Null Overseer actually running around in a bit of a circle. Alright, Null Overseer gonna get back to its little bit of a starting location. Meanwhile, back over here, you can take a look at the peasants making their way back, as the Archmage will get to level 3 after clearing up this green creep camp. Archmage picks up a Circlet of Nobility, nice item there, but we'll see what comes of this, as it looks like Infi does have a bit of an advantage getting to level 3 first. However, Hawk not too far behind, going to be going after this Rock Golem creep camp now, and as both players realize that this is full cross spawns here, full cross spawns on Twisted Meadows, they have both decided to really play a very heavy creeping strategy. Now, this I am surprised about. Hawk has decided to go for a Town Hall and has stayed there. In his previous game, he had gotten to tier 2 rather quickly. Meanwhile, Infi is sitting at 35 over 36 with a large number of peasants. I am waiting to see when Infi is going to be establishing up that expansion here at the 12 o'clock location. Meanwhile, Hawk also has a large number of peasants, so both of them may be thinking about the long-term game. Coming back around, Archmage is sitting at level 3, has Devotion Aura, Gauntlet of Ogre Strength, Potion of Greater Mana, which will be helpful later on, as we are now looking at the Archmage perhaps trying to do a little bit of interception. Archmage now running the way off to the north, as both sides have yet to establish their expansions. Both of them should be sitting on a fair bit of lumber. You can see Infi sitting on 200 lumber after upgrading the keep. Meanwhile, Hawk is sitting on about 100 lumber. Now perhaps he is researching defend, and that is the difference in lumber so far. Alright, a little bit of an engagement here. Troll Berserker and Troll Shadow Priest is all right here. Water Elemental taking a lot of damage from that Arcane Tower will end up giving a little bit of experience to that Archmage, I believe, as that Archmage is now inching closer to level 4. I don't agree with Hawk's strategy here. He's actually going to be on the run, taking a fair bit of damage, and a footman or 2 may end up getting taken down. Alright, there goes one footman there, as we're now trying to do a little bit of a fight. Infi able to pull back with his units, but you gotta remember that Hawk does have defend, even though it will take a little bit of effort to try to block the blows from the Troll Berserker, the Troll Shadow Priest, and that Water Elemental. Hawk did establish a farm here at the mercenary camp, will be able to hire up more units. Troll Berserker getting hit through the trees here as the Null Warden getting taken down first. Meanwhile, you can see that this Null Overseer finally switching aggro onto that Water Elemental will help out and absorb a bit of damage. Meanwhile, the Archmage of Infi is already creeping out this Goblin Merchant Shop, and this is going to give him a serious advantage. He is now clearing out and getting up to level 4. Meanwhile, his opponent is still sitting at level 3, and this creep camp just pushes him about a quarter of the way to level 5. Alright, Troll Berserker taking a lot more damage than he realized as all the units are now backing off. The Archmage does have a fair bit of armor, sitting at 7.6 armor, which is rather high for that intelligence-based hero. Archmage now making his way to the Ogre Magi, Ogre Warrior creep camp here at the 3 o'clock location. Meanwhile, a little bit of Abolish Magic and Infi may end up losing that Water Elemental, giving Hawk level 4. Now, we are looking at just what Troll Shadow Priest Wars 2014. As you see Footmen and those Troll Shadow Priests, we are still waiting to see when the players are going to be going into Spellbreakers. You can see that the Arcane Vault is already up. We're waiting to get to Tier 2. Meanwhile, the Mountain King already being started by Infi, as Militia now making their way down. Infi taking this perfect opportunity to set up an expansion while he knows his opponent is a bit low. The Archmage perhaps going to put pressure, thinking that this is the right opportunity, as we now see a quick tech to castle. Alright, this quick tech to castle, I am not sure what quite to make of this. I don't see a lumber mill. So that does mean, that most likely means, no, wait, is that? That is a lumber mill, so we could be seeing a Griffin Aviary in just a moment. Meanwhile, the Scroll of Town Portal bringing back all the units home. There you have it, and the Archmage now sitting at level 4, getting very close to level 5, using a Clarity Potion, selling the Scourge Bone Chimes, picking up a Scroll of Town Portal after using the Scroll of Regeneration. Now, the Archmage perhaps wanted to spot if there was an expansion down here. He does not spot it. He's going to head off to the north, may end up picking up a Goblin Zeppelin, and Hawk is going to be playing this game very carefully, trying to perhaps just be a very big annoyance. The Goblin Zeppelin going to fly over here, and his opponent knows what exactly is happening, but the harassment factor may just be too much. Can the Archmage drop down here? Well, maybe they can drop down there and then try to attack up onto the high ground, but that is a rather long distance as the Zeppelin is still flying around. You can take a look. Blacksmith is now done. Castle is about to be, or is about 2/3 of the way completed. Mountain King, as we now see the drop inside the base onto the far side. Defend on Infi's Footmen are going to make this drop pretty much negated, as there's nothing really to be done. Mountain King gets a Stormbolt off on the Footman, and he just missed his taxi. Mountain King now looking to clear out the Goblin Merchant Shop here, and really trying to clear this up without the help of the Archmage, and while still keeping pressure in the base. This is really difficult for Hawk to micro both fights at the same time, and you can see now that the Archmage is pretty much just going to ignore this, as the Mountain King attempting to take down a Forest Troll, a Warlord. Mountain King taking a fair bit of damage though. Mountain King taking a fair bit of damage though, as the Mountain King does end up stealing. Alright, my wife decided to watch some TV while casting right next to me. Stormbolt now going down onto a Hawk, as Hawk's Footman will get taken down right there. Alright, we see triple Arcane Towers, and what was that building? That building was cancelled, and I'm not exactly sure what to expect. No, we are going into Knights. So the Knights are pretty much being used to try to counteract the Spellbreakers. Meanwhile, the Archmage is here, and he is putting down a lot of pressure. The problem is going to be that if no Spellbreakers are used, then the Priest and the Sorceress are going to be able to shut down the Knights. As soon as you add in a handful of Spellbreakers, though, those Spellbreakers are going to completely take over, as we see the Knights do not have the Animal War training. Alright, let's take a look at how things are going down. We are sitting on a fair amount of lumber. Triple Water Elementals. Are they going to get picked up? Yes, it looks like they are all going to be picked up. There was an Abolish Magic on the Goblin Zeppelin, as there goes another Water Elemental there. And now the Archmage is sitting at 5, inching ever closer to level 6. Alright, 2 Troll Shadow Priests, an Archmage by himself. Meanwhile, Mountain King, Footman, and a Knight now making rounds. Perhaps we're going to be seeing Animal War Training. There it is. And what Hawk is doing is limiting himself to 49 supply so that he is not getting taxed. He's going to be trying to build up as much of a gold advantage as he can. Meanwhile, Infi already has the gold advantage, but I don't know if he knows his opponent is going for such a very heavy Knight strategy. Staff of Teleportation already coming in. There is the Archmage. Archmage drops in another Water Elemental, and the problem now is that Infi is just absolutely getting fed experience. The Troll Shadow Priest, however, gonna get some Abolish Magics in. There you go, very well played, as we now see Slow being cast. Alright, the Goblin Zeppelin's gonna have a very bad day. Will be able to slip away once more as the Paladin is now being added. Alright, Hawk going for the full trifecta of the human army with Archmage, Mountain King, and Paladin. Meanwhile, it appears that Infi is going to be staying at tier 2 with casters, but with an extra base. What is going to come out ahead, only time can tell, as the Mountain King and Paladin, both of them working extra hard to try and get to level 2 each. Alright, once the Paladin gets to level 3 and the Mountain King gets to level 3, things are going to be extremely difficult to take down, as with the Staff of Sanctuary, you can really save those Knights if they've taken a bit too much damage. The Sorceress will be able to slow them though, and that is going to be the issue. Meanwhile, I am looking for the Archmage. Where's that Archmage? Archmage is down over here in the Goblin Zeppelin. Perhaps they can take it down before, or take down and stop this expansion before the Arcane Tower gets up, and I think that is exactly what's going to happen right here. Archmage, Troll, Berserker, all of a sudden going to try and drop down this Arcane Tower. Arcane Tower pretty much taken out at a moment's notice. Meanwhile, off to the north, oh, Holy Light at the right moment. That Footman saw his life flash before his eyes, was down to below 200 hit points a second after that Holy Light hit. Meanwhile, Troll Trapper gets taken down here. Expansion looks like it will be coming into play, as the Water Elemental not going to get away in time, and that Archmage is still getting pretty much more free experience. Back over here, Mountain King sitting at level 2, gonna take down a free farm. Meanwhile, the Militia not setting up an expansion, or no, never mind, now setting up an expansion as I thought they would, as the Paladin is at level 2, and the Paladin does have Divine Shield, obviously, especially since we already, we still have Devotion Aura on this Archmage. Archmage only sitting at level 4 though, going to be going up against a level 2 Mountain King and a level 5 Archmage. Meanwhile, oh, poor Priest runs into a group of the group and the majority of Hawk's army, but the Priest looks like it will be able to get away. Meanwhile, the Archmage now runs into the rest of the group as well, and I don't believe Infi was expecting the Knights. The Knights with 6 armor with the additional help of that Devotion Aura, perhaps even adding Scroll of Protection, will really switch things up. Those Knights can deal so much damage to these peasants so quickly with that medium armor. As you can see, all of those peasants pretty much really nowhere to run, as those Knights are rather fast units. Alright, Water Elemental taking a bit of damage. You can take a look. Mountain King is in a really weird spot. There's a Stormbolt onto a Footman. Mortar Team's now coming in, and the Mortar Team was in a strange spot, as Hawk gonna lose the Mortar Team before any damage is really dealt. Alright, Staff of Sanctuary. Oh no, was that a Staff of Sanctuary? I believe there was a Staff of Sanctuary saving that Mortar Team at the last possible moment. He is now back at home, safe and sound. Divine Shield on the Paladin saves him, as we're looking at most likely a scroll of we're going to be looking at a scroll of regeneration here in just a second, or perhaps just manual healing from the Priest onto that Paladin. That Paladin rather low on hit points, but with 2 Rings of Protection and a Devotion Aura with 10 armor, that is 38% damage reduction. He is going to be a very difficult unit to take out. So far, things are looking good for Infi, but I don't believe Infi knows that there is already an expansion up for Hawk. 63 over 66 supply compared to 66 over 72. We are going into castle, as Infi is realizing he cannot win this game with Spellbreakers. He needs that tier 3 unit. And the only advantage that Hawk really has now is that his Paladin is higher up in level. Alright, you can see, oh, Sorceress with Inner Fire. The Priests are still only at Adept training as the... Oh, here we go. There is the battle as the Mortar team. There goes a Footman. The Footman pretty much getting taken out the moment he just crossed that line there. Not a good spot to be in. Meanwhile, Water Elemental taking a fair bit of damage. Perhaps the Mountain King should just launch a Stormbolt to get the free bit of experience as this Water Elemental now trying to run away. Skeletal Minion, this lesser Dark Minion down to 1 hit point. Should get taken out, no problem. And we also see the Dark Minion here trying to do a little bit of scouting. So far, let's take a look at this. This Orb of Darkness from the Archmage, adding in a little bit of extra damage. Here you go. There's a Stormbolt onto the Paladin. Paladin is in a bit of trouble. Are we going to see a Divine Shield? We should be seeing a Divine Shield. Not quite sure why we aren't yet. He is taking so much damage. Finally gets the Divine Shield off, as we're now looking at the Knights trying to chase. Alright, Spellbreakers taking a fair bit of damage here. Do you see Dispel Magic coming in, as we are now looking at more units just taking so much damage. The Mortar teams with their Fragmentation Shards completely shredding many of those casters, as the Mountain King down to sub 200 hit points. The Archmage has a Potion of Greater Healing, and it most likely needs to transfer that to the Mountain King if this fight is to go well. Meanwhile, the Water Elemental taking a fair bit of damage. There is a Stormbolt onto a Troll Berserker. Easy target to take down for those Knights, but surprisingly, Hawk has not upgraded any of the units. Alright, Knight now trying to come in and engage. You can see that the Knight is going to go head to head with this Goblin Shredder, and the Knight may not actually win this fight here because of that guard tower there dealing so much piercing damage. Meanwhile, you can take a look. The Knights are now making their way over. The Paladin is right there, and we're going to see a bit of a battle here, as all of a sudden the Goblin Shredder down to 63 hit points will get taken out. Alright, let's take a look at this. Knight down to 202 hit points. Are we going to see a Scroll of Town Portal? Yes, we are. There's a Holy Light trying to save that unit there, and there is the Scroll of Town Portal onto the top. Mortar teams now getting in a little bit of trouble as we see Griffins come into the battle. Griffins going after the Mortar teams. They're going to take them down in a matter of seconds. Meanwhile, the Mortar teams, which were the main counter to the casters, now pretty much going to get owned by those Griffins. Griffins dealing so much damage to those poor heavy armored units that have such little hit points. Alright, meanwhile, you can take a look. The Griffin Rider taking a fair bit of damage himself. Or I guess underestimated the damage coming in from those Water Elementals, as the Archmage got to level 5. Alright, so far you can see the Water Elemental here, Zeppelin, Knight, more Knights coming together. This is a lot of slowed units, and the Priests really need to be able to dispel that magic. Meanwhile, the Mortar team taking a fair bit of damage, gonna go ahead and get Holy Lighted once again to try and heal back up. This Mortar team may end up getting Staff of Sanctuary. No, it is not. It gets taken down, as the Mountain King over here does have Divine Shield. Alright, Mountain King trying to stay alive. Another Holy Light. The Knights doing their best to try and stay alive. As you can see, this one Mountain King does end up getting the Potion of Greater Healing in order to stay alive. Instead, Stormbolt quickly switches the targets onto the Archmage. Archmage now taking a fair bit of damage as well, as the units are chasing. Water Elemental may try to go after the Griffin, as the Knights are going to be taking a bit too much damage. Mountain King could perhaps try to get a Stormbolt back across, as there is one flying machine coming in from Hawk. Hawk needs to use that flying machine effectively, but does not use it at all. There goes a Priest, as the Knights, the Griffins, the Spellbreakers, the Casters, all running around. This has been a very, very crazy matchup. Hawk now running a Knight back to a lone Priest over here to try and heal him back up. Back here, there is one unit now getting Staff of Sanctuary, and that is a bit late. I am surprised that Hawk wasn't able to save any units during the fight, and the Paladin is so close to level 3. It kind of hurts to see that Paladin use Holy Light, that it isn't at level 3. Alright, in comes the Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker, is it going to be able to slip away? The Knights do deal a fair bit of damage, and it looks like it will be able to get away without a problem, as we now see a Spellbreaker running into the expansion here. Staff of Teleportation, and no, Scroll, or not a Staff of Teleportation, Mass Teleport, and Infi now going to shut down this expansion here at the 9 o'clock position. Infi getting to level 6 first on the Archmage, and Mass Teleport may end up being the game deciding spell here, as Hawk gonna be losing his expansion, being able to run around with so many units so quickly. Alright, a Scroll of Town Portal now being used by the Archmage in order to get the heck out of dodge. There they go, and Hawk is now up the creek without a paddle. And what's worse, Infi has a Spellbreaker sitting inside his opponent's base. I don't know if it is spotted. Archmage, oh, teleports. Where did it teleport? It did not teleport here. Teleports down over here to take down a knight. Archmage does have the Scroll of Town portal, so he should be able to teleport into this base here in just a second. All right. Oh, Militia now trying to teleport their way in. And it looks like that Spellbreaker will end up getting taken down. There it goes. No free teleport inside there. Meanwhile, we do see Dragonhawk Riders with that Animal War training. That is extremely important. And the Archmage shouldn't be in this fight at all. It needs to be further away to make sure that it doesn't steal any of the experience whatsoever. Mountain King has a Pendant of Mana, giving him 520 mana. That is going to be just a load of Stormbolts coming in if the Spellbreakers do not deplete all of the mana on that Mountain King. Meanwhile, Spellbreakers are trying to run inside here, and now they are absorbing the damage from these arcane towers so that the barracks can, or sorry, the Griffins can just freely attack these arcane towers here. Meanwhile, back off to the north, you see a straight up attack inside the main base, saying, you know what, I don't really care for this right now. You see long distance mining here as mass teleport comes in. Hawk gonna be losing his main castle, but at the same time, you can see that Hawk is actually losing or dealing a lot of damage here as well. The number of knights in this group does give Hawk a bit of an advantage in dealing damage to buildings. Scroll of Town portal, where is it going? No, the Scroll of Town portal now heading back off to the north. Here you go, there's the engagement. Are we going to see a couple of shackles? We need to see those shackles. There are the shackles now. We could see one more shackle come in, and that would make a very big difference. Staff of Sanctuary saving one Griffin Rider as we are looking at a beautiful fight coming across so many units. As we see one unit currently shackled, a Thunderclap coming in, as well as the Flying Machine trying to fight back, unable to do so. So many units taking so much damage, and there goes a mass teleport to try to get out of a bad situation. All right, the Archmage, what's happening over here? I don't quite understand what that animation, that animation is for the Staff of Sanctuary. As you see more Griffins just getting shackled down. So many Griffins getting shackled down. Knights still in play. Archmage is in the back here. Mountain King trying to just take down unit after unit as knight after knight is falling. Dragonhawk Riders starting to fall as the Griffins are just far too much in outnumbering their opponent. Mountain King does get off another Thunderclap here, and he is finally out of mana as the Mountain King of Infi gives or uses a potion of invulnerability. Infi takes game number 3. Hawk. Wow, Hawk put up a very, very good fight, but I believe that mass teleport into the base at the 9 o'clock location really set him behind too far, and Infi takes this series 2-1. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.